song. Yeah, so if you just have a quick look at that, you've basically got the two translations side by side, the two versions by our translators of the same story. So as we go along, feel free to make notes of things you might want to ask at the end. I'll move to you in a little while, so you can join the discussion too. So the events billed as a slam, which is slightly misleading. It's a really good marketing ploy to bring in the punters. We promise a fight to the death, but actually the reality is the opposite. It's a very peaceful occasion. It's a constructive rather than a competitive conversation, and all the more fascinating for being so. So the two translators will be talking about the different choices they made, and the idea behind the event is that even if you don't translate, or even if you don't know other languages, you get a sense of the infinite variety of choice that faces a translator of fiction. I'll introduce our two duelists now, and we'll start by reading a short passage aloud so you can hear the Indonesian and the two translations. So Laura and Mikael are both fantastic translators, extremely interesting human beings. Dr. Laura Nuzlopi is an anthropologist, writer, editor and translator whose work on cultural politics, ethnography and biography has been published internationally in various books, magazines and journals, academic and other. Laura is assistant editor of the Taylor and Francis journal Indonesia and the Malay World, and a contributing editor at Inside Indonesia. Her love of all things Indonesia began when she was a student. She spent many years doing research in Bali, and she first became involved with the literary scene as an editor of Denpasar-based Latitudes magazine back in 2004, and has worked as a freelance translator, writer and editor for the Longtao Foundation and other Indonesian publishers. She's working on a number of interesting projects at the moment, including a University of London research project on wayang, climate change and environmental education starting soon. Am I right in thinking wayang is a puppet theatre? Laura's also interviewed the author Seno Gumira Ajidama for this year's book fair. It's a really interesting conversation, and you can read that online on the British Council website. Mikael Johani is just as he turns away.
Reaching into my bag.
Is a poet, critic, and translator from Jakarta. His work has been published in Asymptote, the Johannesburg Review of Books, Vice Indonesia, and a raft of other journals based in Hanoi, Kuala Lumpur, Montreal, and elsewhere. You'll find lots of really interesting work and interviews by Mikael online, and his poetry book, We Are Nowhere and It's Wow, was published by Post Press in 2017. One of Mikael's interviewers introduced this book like this. As a child, Mikael was constantly on the move. He left Madiun for Yogyakarta and then Jogja for Jakarta before eventually moving overseas to Australia. We Are Nowhere and It's Wow spent a lot of time on these feelings of rootlessness and newness. He describes his attempts at making sense of his surroundings, of himself, and his eventual embrace of the ever-changing concept of roots and reality. Mikael is currently working on Mongrels, his second poetry collection, which will feature mostly code-switching poems, and some of these have already been published in Asymptote.
Yeah, in some journals, yes.
He's also working on a translation of Racha Gusti Shalanya Rompas's poetry collection, Non-Specific. And he's one of the winners of the 2018-19 Emerging Translator Mentorships Programme from the UK's National Centre for Writing. He also organises a monthly poetry open mic night in Jakarta. So I'll just say a few words about the story. So the programming team of the National Organising Committee have selected a short story, Ikan Galeng, by Eko Triyono, with the aim of introducing another Indonesian writer to the mix beyond 12 London Book Fair featured writers, and also to challenge the translators with a text that would throw up questions fundamental to the process of translation itself, so ethical as well as technical. So Eko Triyono is a novelist and short story writer. He was born in 1989 in Cilacap, Central Java. His collection, What's the Right Religion of the Trees, was shortlisted for the 2016 Tulis Dua Literary Award. And his experimental book, You're Reading This writing was published in 2017. Sorry, that's a lot of biography and housekeeping. We're going to get on with the discussion now. Perhaps I'll just say that the short story is written in Bahasa Indonesia. It was first published in the Indonesian newspaper Kompas in 2011. So, we'll just let you hear the opening paragraph of the story to give you a taster. Mikhail's going to read the Indonesian, followed by his translation, and then Laura will read hers, so I'll hand over to Mikhail. Your choice, I think it's nice of the lecture.
I think I just did it. Hi. Okay, I'm going to read the beginning of the story in Indonesian, but it contains a few dialogues in the Melayu Patois, Papuan Malay. So forgive me if my Melayu Papua is not quite up to scratch, you know. I'm Javanese after all. But there's also a dialogue by a Japanese person, so I'll do that pretty well. Ikan kaleng oleh Eko Triyono. Sam 3 hari di Jayapura. Dia guru ikatan dinas dari Jawa. Dan tak mengira saat pembukaan penerimaan siswa baru buat SD Batu Tua 1 yang terletak sejurus aspal hitam dengan taksi, sebenarnya minibus. Ada yang menggelikan, sekaligus mungkin menyadarkannya diam-diam. Dia tersenyum mengingat ini. Ketika seorang lelaki bertubuh besar dengan tubuh legam dan rambut bergelung seperti ujung-ujung pakis, lembut, teratur, menenteng 2 anak lelakinya sambil bertanya, "Kau pu ilmu buat ajar torang pu anak pandai melaut? Torang terhadap waktu. Ini anak bagi semua nakal. Sabusin." Sang memahami penggal 2 penggal. Dia, seperti yang diajarkan saat micro-teaching, mulai senyum lalu berkata, "Bapak yang baik, kurikulum untuk pendidikan dasar itu keterampilan dasar, matematika, bahasa, olahraga, dan beberapa kerajinan. Ah, omong kau sama dengan dong di bukit atas. Ayo pulang." Kaget. Sam tersentak. Belum lagi dia selesai. Dan ini tak pernah diajarkan di pengajaran mikro. Juga di buku diktum bab penerimaan siswa baru. Dia pucat. Diraihnya segelas air putih. So you want to go on?
Yes, so Mikhail will read this translation.
So I'm gonna read my version of this passage, which you can read in the next slide. Fish in a can. A peculiar thing happened to Sam in Jayapura 3 days after he arrived in town as a teacher on a government contract from Java. He never expected that on his first day at Old Rock Primary School No. 1, a taxi bus ride away from his new home on a stretch of black bitumen, he would encounter something so shocking that only much later turned into a revelation to him. He smiled as he remembered the moment. A towering man with dark skin and dreadlock hair that looked like the raw fronds of a fern came to the school dragging 2 boys with him. He asked Sam, "You have skills to teach my kids how to feast? I got no time. These boys, them acting up, they give my headache." Sam understood only half the words. He remembered what he was taught in his micro-teaching class, let out a smile, and said, "My good man, the curriculum for a primary school teaches basic skills, and that means mathematics, Indonesian, sports, and some craft. Ah, you say same stars as Dan Meng Hill on Hilltop. Come on, boys, let's get out of here." Sam was petrified. He hadn't even finished his sentence. They didn't teach this in the micro-teaching class, he thought. Or in the student enrollment guide. His face had lost some color. He quickly downed a glass of water.
when life is working it is. So my question is, Sam had been just 3 days in Jaipur. He was a government contract teacher from Java. And we've been surprised to see the group that arrived in the black asphalt in the taxi, or a minibus to be exact, as student enrollment opened at Batu 201 Elementary School. They were messing around at trying to keep a low profile, and the memory made him smile. A dark, grey man with curled hair like fern tips and his 2 sons in tow with a query. Can you teach these kids to go to sea? We don't have the time. These kids are all naughty and they're stressing me out. Sam put 2 and 2 together, following what he'd learned during teacher training. He smiled and said, "Dear sir, the curriculum for elementary education includes basic skills, mathematics, language, physical education and a range of crafts." "Oh, you sound just like him on the hill. Right, let's head home." Taken aback, Sam caught his breath. He hadn't even finished speaking. And this sort of thing hadn't been taught in teacher training, and it wasn't in the chapter on enrolling new students. He paled and reached for a glass of water.
Thank you. Well, it's lovely to hear you both read aloud and to hear how your translations fit your voices, how you make the story speak so distinctively. Perhaps we could start with some context, with a few details that will locate the story for the audience. Laura, perhaps you could say something about where the story is set and where the characters come from.
Yes, so Sam, we gather, is a teacher from Java who is recently arrived in Jayapura, which is the main urban centre in West Papua. And I imagine that he may have been part of the transmigration program, which is Java's very highly populated, most populated part of Indonesia. So people were regularly sent out to more isolated, or not isolated, less inhabited parts of Indonesia as part of the government-sponsored program. So we had a contract to go and teach in Papua. And I think, as we're going to discuss later on a little bit, that there are certain assumptions and stereotypes that Javanese people may have had about Papua, which kind of permeate the story in tone and also in terms of the narrative being got.
That's really interesting, thank you. And Mikhail, perhaps you could situate us in time, so when is the action taking place in the story?
Yeah, we were talking about translating this story, and at first we couldn't quite work out, when did this happen. But we worked out that this story can be read as a sort of kind of critique of the government, the Indonesian government's education program. And since it doesn't mention this program called Impress, the presidential instruction, in the 80s, so we worked out that this must be sometime later than the 80s. And then I remember that there was a scene in this story where the teacher Sam, he was reading. The literal translation is short note, pesan pendek, but that's actually the sort of shortened form of layanan pesan pendek, which is SMS or text message. So I remember getting my first mobile phone in 1999 in Indonesia. So it's around that time.
There's been some amazing sleuthing going on. Let's stay with the time then, because we were talking before about the time situation on the very first line, actually. This thing of 3 days. So could you say something about the sentence structure maybe in that first line and how that situates us in the story from the outset? Do you want to have a start?
We can do. Well, the start of the first line is Sam 3 hari di Jayapura, which is supposed to be read very literally. It's Sam 3 days in Jayapura. And I think both of us, we were saying how that could mean a number of things, really, but both of us assumed or thought that meant he had been only 3 days in Jayapura. We didn't know really what his plans were, or whether he was staying a long time or anything else about the context.
So there's a sort of ambiguity in the language from Is it in the Indonesian language, in the writer's language?
It's very minimal.
I mean, I think different writers in Indonesian use the language bahasa Indonesia in different ways. You can use the sort of natural ambiguities like this author does here, or you can be very precise as well. I mean, we know of Pramudia Anantatur, one of our biggest novelists. I mean, he's very precise, but but here.
So there's a kind of suggestive quality to the language which can
yes. The last line in the first paragraph literally translates as something that happens in the story makes him realize about something, but it's not explained what that something is or how that happens, you know, and. This is also a function of the fact that this story was published in a newspaper. So we have a genre called Sastra Koran, newspaper story in Indonesia, and the space is very short, only about 800 words, I think. So usually writers would try to like have this really short first paragraph to sort of kind of like a teaser, you know. So something happened that made him realize something, you know, but you have to read the rest of the story to find out. Which does make it difficult sometimes if you just translate this thing straight, you know, because it doesn't make sense, sort of, like if you don't know the context.
So interesting. Perhaps we'll just summarise a little bit what happens. So there's the opening sets up the relationship between these two main characters, Sam and the Lat chief, whose name is unknown. And they're both portrayed as educators in the story. There's an opposition set up between them. You've both chosen to translate the name of the school differently.
Yeah.
So you've translated it as 201, and you've translated it as Old Rock Primary School number 1. Can you tell us about your choice, okay, please?
Well, I think this choice of story, I feel when we were given it, I felt at first that it was very problematic because it's a story about Papua written by a Japanese author. Japanese is basically colonial masters of Papua, and then the story is selected by the National Organizing Committee of this Indonesia, who's headed by a white American man, and now exhibited in the London Book Fair. So there's this, it's very problematic, you know, there's like hundreds of years of colonial pain in that chain of representations. So I decided to translate Batu Tua, which literally means old rock, to show that like the author's sort of kind of like self-orientalistic tendencies, auto-ethnographying, you know, like, you know, the school is called Old Rock because it's in primitive Papua, you know. So if I don't translate that into English, then like the English readers then wouldn't get that sense.
Yeah, I see. So you've made visible what the author was doing. Because this is a government school. Because I wondered also if it was to do with the fact that it's you know, it's got a particular sort of quite fixed curriculum as well. There's a term which crops up later, Pancasila, which is the curriculum of the school. It's the five precepts which are incorporated into the curriculum. Sorry, and you've lost that, so I was wondering if you'd say something about it.
Oh, well, that is because I believe, I think actually Nika would know more than me about the school curriculum in Indonesia, but I believe it's uniform across the country. It's a national curriculum, and it does always contain Pancasila, and there's the raising of the flag, and there's lining up and marching. Not, I suppose, dissimilar to how it is in American state schools as well. So I think it is quite clearly regulated.
That's interesting. because I think that's referred to in the next section of the story. So the teacher, Sam, is curious about the chief, and he keeps seeing boys from the Latch tribe in the schoolyard who are watching the other children marching and singing in front of the Indonesian flag. And he tries to speak to them, but they run away, it says. And in the text it says they disappear into the forest. I mean, would either of you like to talk about that section, just to take us through the story a little bit? How did you feel about this sentence, and what did you do with it?
Do you want to read some?
Do you want to, or if you'd like to?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe I'll read the bit. It's on page 5, I think. So the two boys went to the school and tried to talk to the other kids, but they ran away, right?
Yeah.
So the passage goes, the boys made themselves scars down small rocky hills along a winding dirt road. Their voices grew distant and then disappeared with the wind, and into the green of the forest, dotted with houses and every now and then a taxi bus stuffed with passengers and their belongings. Sam decided he would visit the boys and their parents that afternoon and explain everything to them. Well, this is one of the passages in the story that sort of like describes Jayapura as a sort of kind of like a green, verdant place. We have this genre of painting, colonial painting called Moi Indi, that always shows Indonesia as a green, peaceful, pastoral place. So this story sort of like paints Jayapura as the same sort of pastoral scene. When the reality, I think, you can check on YouTube. I actually wanted to show a video of a hip-hop crew from Jayapura. The video clip is them walking through the street of Jayapura, and Jayapura is, quite a large town with like hypermarkets, and it's nowhere near as primitive as this author made out in the story. But I think it's interesting that he does it, because it sort of reflects what a lot of Javanese people still think of Papua. And even though the story is sort of like a critique of the Indonesian education system, which is like designed by Javanese, the author, who I think I just found out about this, he used actually to teach in Papua for a few I don't know how long, but that sense of sort of, we call it sort of kind of like that sense of we call it inlander tendencies, it's so internalized that he still sees the Papuans as more primitive than himself. Like the teacher has a name, right, Sam, but the chief of the tribe doesn't have a name. It's just the lad chief. So yeah.
Should we look at this point as some of the translators had a really difficult task of translating passages of, well, we'll talk about the type of language that was used, but this Papuan dialect. And I'd be really interested to talk to you both at this point, to hear about your strategies for how you translated it. So, Laura, do you want to tell us? So if we maybe skip to, let's just fill in the plot. It's quite tricky talking through a story, So Sam goes to the Lap chief after this passage, and the chief shows him a school which he has set up himself to teach children how to fish and navigate. And there's a section where the chief is speaking to the children and teaching them quite differently to the way Sam does. And he's talking to the children. So let me just find where that is in the story. Let's just find the... so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to skip a bit to... where's the... 7, yeah. It's just if you've got your thing open like that, it's just before the third section, the page just before. Right, just at the end of the second section. hope you're all still with us. We've got through the story here. Quite a lot to get through in the time. Yes, but this is really fascinating, the translation of them. Yes.
You can do this. You were born on the sea. Meet the fish of the sea and the salt of the sea, your children of the sea. The sea is our mother. You love, embrace and kiss this briny limbs. The sea is where you eat, where you grow big. Do you understand what I'm telling you? This is why you're schooled at last. You're learning to live. Not just chatting rubbish and drawing. Our Father has entrusted you to the sea.
So would you tell us about your strategy for translating this and how you felt as a translator tackling this difficult task?
Well, when I first looked at the original text, I was a little bit alarmed because I didn't recognise the language that actually was speaking in at all, and I had to use Google, I'll be very frank, to even identify which dialect of very many in this one was, and I genuinely hadn't even seen it before, so I was a little alarmed. Mikhail was very helpful and gave me a lexicon, the basic words, which was very helpful indeed. And I had a big long think about it, so I could see that the author was presenting it as a kind of patois, and I thought it would be somehow disingenuous of me to try and attempt, inauthentic if you like, to get a copy of a copy of a copy of what I imagined it might sound like, and then to kind of accentize it in my translation. So I tried to imagine Balachi's voice and keep it very plain. If anything, it was slightly simplified in tempo and style in terms of the language. I kind of went with the stereotyping and assumptions that were in the stories. So there's a sort of slightly heroic, reminds me of Kevin Costner speech actually, and put it in contrast with some of the more sophisticated or sometimes baroque language of the narration and of Sam, who's slightly pompous at times, in order to kind of represent the differences in the original text. And I'm massively impressed with Mikhail's rendering, but I thought it would really be appropriate and comfortable for you to do that.
Would you say uncomfortable? Yeah. I think that's probably something that translators often face, is that they're operating, out of their comfort zone, and it does have an impact on how much risk-taking you take, for example.
Certainly, I think in a normal circumstance, if I've been doing this with a publisher and an editor, and indeed if I'd had access to the author, it would have been a very different story, but it was a translation done in some haste, tight deadline, and no access to any of those people to discuss it with.
It's interesting that time is quite an important factor in translation, isn't it? That sometimes translation needs a lot of time. Do you find that you often need to come back and look at things several times?
Ideally, yes.
They look quite different.
It's to mull and soak a little bit, I think. I spent most of my work in translation has been as an editor of translations, often going back to the original and retranslating in parts. But I think this exercise has given me a really good insight into just how important it is to have an editor for translations. So not just for authors in the original, but for translations. I think that's really crucial.
It's interesting. I think, translation is, we're always bringing in lots of perspectives. I mean, they're always coexisting. Thank you. I think you really hear the chief's voice really clearly, actually, in the sort of corrective strategy that you've used. Mikhail, you've done something very different. Would you like to read yours?
Yeah. Come on, boys, you got this. You was born in the sea. You eat fish from the sea. You make salt from the sea. You are boys of the sea. The sea is our mother. We love this salty wind. We roll through this salty wind. We kiss at this salty wind. The sea is where you find your food, where you is grown up.
You see, this wisdom are telling you, this is the reason you go to art school. You learning how to live, not drawing, not to bullshit. Our Father, He gave us this seed. So my strategy in translating the Betapa, the Malay Papua that the author tried to use, I noticed that like he actually made elementary mistakes in his attempt to use Papua Patois. So I researched. I asked a few people. My wife is in Indonesia, so and I also asked some of my Papuan friends. Like say he used the word dorang, which means or dong, which means them, but he used it as though it means he. And also some of the structures, sentence structures are not quite Melayu Papua. So what I was trying to do in my translation is to sort of kind of like mimicking what he was doing, to show that like the author is trying to like get this Lat chief to sound more primitive than he does. But then again, I sort of kind of ended up, I took a lot of the sort of like my made up patois from LKJ, and I think like in the end, I was also sort of trying to like, in the end, I ended up sort of trying to reclaim a little bit of agency from the Papuan dialogues or monologues, you know. So that like I tried to like make my made up language has like repeat all the same words in all the different dialogues, so that it has a sort of like a system working through it, unlike what the original author did. So I was sort of like maybe subverting it a bit, but yeah, that's what I tried to do. Yeah.
That's really fascinating. Yeah, so could you just, maybe you could talk a bit more about this. So again, this question of how comfortable you feel. Actually, when listening to you reading that, it actually sounded very, you know, you're a poet, so I think you could really feel that. There's this sort of amazing texture that you created in that. And I was wondering actually how, I think it's, you know, you're both translators, but you both also have, you know, these other sort of talents that you're bringing to the table. So you're bringing, you know, I wonder if you're translating a bit, you know, as a poet, and perhaps you're bringing your anthropology background, so, you know, this sort of sense of hearing the voice. Because I think it's interesting, there's a register shift, isn't there, in the text between the Indonesian and dialect. So the kind of lingua franca sort of official language and the dialect, and you've maintained that register shift,
yeah.
And you've made it visible and very clear in English.
Right.
And you've done something different. I think you've neutralised the register shift so that you sort of level, you know, in a way that it's in a kind of zone where, you know, this kind of level playing field almost. So I suppose it's the different corrective strategies. It's really fascinating always to see how translators sort of bring these different strategies. Did you feel that when you started translating that it became immediately political? You know.
I think that the situation in Papua, as Miguel said earlier on, it just is political and violent. It's terrible at the moment. I think it was a challenging choice of story, and I was certainly thinking in the job of being a translator, there's a kind of fine line you walk sometimes with fidelity to the text, and sometimes coming across, you know, assumptions or ideas or words and meanings that you feel very uncomfortable replicating and disseminating even in another language. And I guess that there are almost a moral choice, and I'm not sure that there's a clear answer or guidance as to what you should do. It's more of intuiting a kind of middle ground, and for me, I tried to stay very close to the meanings that I read in the original, and to present them in an English that just showed those assumptions rather than hammered them out or just unthinkingly.
It's interesting, you said the word fidelity.
Yeah.
It's obviously an interesting word always in translation. I wonder if it's a question of trust, that perhaps readers want to feel they can trust the translator.
Yes.
Now that calls into question, that brings up all kinds of other new questions, obviously.
It does, because do you fix, like Mikael says, do you fix mistakes in the dialogue?
Well, is it a question of transparency more than, there's no hard or fast sort of rules, it's to do case by case, but perhaps all we can do as translators is just to be transparent about our particular process. Would you like to say anything here?
Well, I think like the political thing that I did, it's interesting that you recognize the sort of kind of like in my made-up patois, you maybe recognize some of the sounds, like it's sort of, I ended up sort of kind of like maybe because I'm a poet, I kind of like the sound of the language that I made up, but I think in the end when I realized it was sounding this sounded kind of okay, and then I sort of went with it because I thought that like in the original the Melayu Papua patois is made to sound rougher, more primitive than the Javanese teachers' dialogues. And so I thought, as part of my sort of kind of like political subversion of giving back agency to the Lat chief, maybe it's a good idea to make his dialogue sound nice.
More interesting.
At least in the sound, like there's, so.
It's interesting, that idea of roughness. Often, I think that translators who have got a good knowledge of the language they're working with are often able to bring across that sense of roughness and imperfection. It's not smoothed out as much, perhaps, as in other sort of translation processes. So this idea of perfection and imperfection in translation, I mean, does it presume that the original is perfect? Is there such a thing as perfect original to work with?
I think occasionally any reader will recognise that they've read something that completely hits their sweet spot and they feel like it might be a perfect moment in poetry or prose for them. But of course I don't think there's any perfect or entirely finished piece of writing, either in the original and certainly not, I would say, in the translation.
We're talking all about the process, the creative process is open.
Well, I do a lot of translations with fellow writers in Indonesia, and usually the way I do it is like I treat sort of kind of like each translation as a sort of kind of like a chance to not necessarily improve on the work, but actually to make something different. I would have the chance to actually work with the original author to work out, because like things, I mean, you were talking about fidelity, but sometimes most of the times there's no perfect equivalences, so sometimes you have to like find like okay, you say it like say a pun or something, a pun in Indonesian, maybe you can't replicate it in English, but you can find something that sort of kind of means the same thing, but then you have to decide that it has the right tone and the right sort of kind of like,
I always think it's a bit like a Houdini act, that you've got the inescapable text, that you have to stay with, but at the same time you have to
that's
kind of break free and do something.
So like that's why it's useful when you have like you get access to the author, then you can sort of like sometimes challenge them, so what do you think about this thing? I think it's kind of problematic. Do you want to change it? no. All right then. But sometimes they do. Sometimes they go like, oh, all right, that maybe we can, some I think like someone like Borges, like he always wants these translators to like, just fix it.
It's really interesting. I suppose the translation in itself operates in that way, isn't it? It's a kind of a writing back to the writer. Having that conversation and creating, readings, different perspectives of the same text. I wonder if like all canonical texts should have many translations, and they should all be looked at as different sort of readings.
Yeah, like the Bible.
Reframings. That's great. Okay. Fantastic. Okay. So perhaps we'll open it up to the floor at this point. If anybody has any questions they'd like to ask the translators, that would be fantastic. Who'd like to go first? Come on, questions. Okay, I'll ask another one.
Oh, there's a question
Oh,
there.
thank you.
It's just stretching.
I've got a question. I didn't want to make the first question, but it's very specific. So in that passage you're discussing, you got cowboys, you got this, you was born in the sea, this kind of sea.
Yeah.
So for from, you use farm.
Yeah.
So not that FR and then any on there.
Yeah.
So the English word farm.
Yes.
Which is sort of husbandry and it's, so a little bit what's out there, resources and so on. Is that a deliberate use of farm or from? Is it another extra resonance?
It was accidental. But I was mostly working on sounds. As I said, like I work. I sort of like copied some of LKJ's patois. It's by Linton Kwesi Johnson, very famous London poet. He writes in Caribbean patois, and also like I also use this translation of Winston Gonzalez. It's like a code switching Spanish and sort of portmanteau Spanish, and the
Can you talk about code switching?
Actually, like even there's a passage in the story Ikan Kaleng where the author says that the Lat chief speaks in code switch, alih kode, and essentially the Melayu Papua is code switching. It uses Indonesian words and Eastern Indonesian words together. So a lot of Indonesians do this naturally, because a lot of us grow up with more than 2 or 3 languages. So like right now I'm speaking, I sort of kind of like I have to stop myself from speaking in Indonesian as well, because like my natural register would be like, yeah, ini gini loh, soalnya blah. Yeah, so it's like that. Adam understands. So code switching. So I tried to like sort of kind of like, at first I considered translating the chief's speech into code switch, English and the Papuan words, but it wasn't working for some reason. It just didn't sound very, very good. So yeah.
So that sounds right. Thank you. Interesting question. And I just wonder actually if we might just quickly, before we take some more questions, just fill in the gaps, because we've just left the story hanging slightly, I realise. So after this encounter here with the chief, again we're not sure quite how long after, because the times are all very confusing. The Lat chief comes to see Sam at the school, as he wants Sam to help him learn how to can fish, as canned fish can be sold at a higher price than fresh. Okay, so why don't we talk at this point, and maybe we'll ask you to talk about your titles, which you translated differently. Laura, I don't know first. So you translated as canned fish. So how does that, as a handle into the story as well?
I actually, it seemed very immediate to me and very obvious that there's something abrupt about the canned fish and the jamming into a small confined place of canned fish. It's very blunt and slightly brutal in the context of the story, and there's something, I've been reading too much into it, but there's something slightly tragic to me about canned sardines, and I thought really the essence of the story is there's something tragic about this lifestyle and fresh fish not being good enough. We should just, can them and then they'll have electricity and TV. So, yeah.
There's also a sense of artificiality.
Yeah, no, I like the bluntness of it. So yeah.
And how about you, Mikhail? For fish in a can? There's a subtle difference, isn't there?
Yes. I was sort of kind of like thinking. At first, I translated it as canned fish, but then I thought that maybe the story fish in a can. So like I was at first when I read this story, I thought that this story would like open a can of worms, so to speak, about Papua, But then it stays into like, to me, like the biggest problem about Papua is not a can of sardines. It's like the genocide and the West Papua movement that keeps getting repressed, the enormous sort of like Freeport mine in the middle of the jungle. Well, not a jungle anymore. So I was sort of kind of like working from that can of worms idea. So instead of a can of worms, it's just a fish in a can. So yeah, that was sort of like the thinking behind it. Yeah.
Kind of focuses on the fish.
On the fish instead of
a living.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you.
Can people write or discuss what's happening in Papua now? I mean, do you think the author's choice not to go there in the story because you can't really go there?
You can, I can, because I brought this book. It's called Tanah Tabu by Aninita S. Taif. This is actually like published by Gramedia, one of the biggest publishers, and it won the Arts Council novel competition, and it talks about the problems in Papua that this story doesn't talk about. The sort of like reclaiming of the land by Japanese immigrants, and also about Freeport, the big American mine that has been operating the world's biggest gold mine since 1966 in Papua, with enormous environmental damage and stuff. So you can talk about it, even on the mainstream. Yeah. So I don't know what Eko's motive was not to talk about that. I mean, I think his concern is more a critique of the education system.
So Mikhail's brought along lots of interesting books which you might not have got a proper look at. So do feel free to come up and have a look at them. I'm sure we'll be happy to show you. Are there any more questions? Yes.
Just a question about the representation, the girls' representation.
Would you maybe have the mic so we can hear the question? Thank you.
I just have a question about your representation of the Malay or Papua. Because for me, at least in my ear, I find it a little bit disconcerting taking a Caribbean model for the English. I just wonder if you consider taking like something like a New Guinea model, or using more like Britain or something as a model. If that was an option to be considered. It's much closer in the region.
Yes. It's a difficult choice. As I said, I tried to make it into like a New Guinea pidgin, but I don't know enough about it. So I could see that like even my translation can also be sort of kind of problematic because I mean maybe it sounds too strange, but I was sort of like stuck between sort of kind of like not stuck, but I sort of kind of enjoyed it, like being stuck with mimicking the original author's method and also trying to do something a bit different. Why I chose well, LKJ is a sort of kind of like, I mean, he's a very respected poet, but not everyone writes like him, you know, and so like, yeah, I chose that as also something that perhaps in the English, it's sort of comprehensible as well. It's comprehensible as well. So, yeah.
Have the sound on the mic. Should be back.
So from what you're saying about the author's representation of that dialogue, perhaps, you know, doing something which like puppet or you do with pigeon, then maybe your inability to match the author's.
My what?
Your unfamiliarity with the language match some of the weaknesses in the original.
Yes, that's what I was sort of kind of like maybe what I deserve to do as a translator.
It's a way of making visible.
Yes, of making visible that what do you call it? Juncture? Not like the shift. Yeah, between the Indonesian and the patois, and between the English and the made-up patois.
It's a kind of defamiliarizing technique as well.
Yeah.
I think you need to know a dialect really quite well. Like if I was working with a Balinese dialect or accent, or a Japanese, Central Japanese or East Japanese dialect or accent, I would treat it very differently because I would have some clue what I was doing. Whereas in this language, I wouldn't dare make a mess of it.
It's true. Again, it's that question of comfort again.
And yeah, familiarity as well, I think. It's not Indonesian in the usual sense.
Any more questions? Two more, fantastic.
I was just interested in the, obviously the story takes place in a very particular political and cultural context. So I'm wondering if you have in mind what audience is potentially reading these translations. Would you translate them differently for different audiences? Say an audience in the UK is a good audience, an English-speaking audience in Jakarta, even perhaps an English-speaking audience in New Zealand. Do you approach the translation in different ways?
Thank you, that's a really interesting question.
That is an interesting question, not something I've thought about, and I'm not sure I would translate it differently actually. I think there's obviously an element of elaboration and explanation that isn't necessary if you're writing for an audience that knows the context very well and is familiar with it. But actually I think once you've translated it should be an item or a product, if you like, that can be passed around that would be accessible to everybody. So I'm not sure I would change it dramatically.
Yeah, it's a great question because that was the sort of question that was always in the back of my mind while I was translating it. Because as an Indonesian a Japanese who had, I think I have sympathies towards the plight of the Papuans. I don't want the Papuans to be represented in this way in the original story. But then what can I do as a translator to fix that? You know, so so even though I didn't really like the story and I find it very problematic, but I think I ended up trying to salvage what I could from the story. And also, like as I said, like I tried to like give the lad chief sort of like more agency to maybe like I don't know, like to make them more equal for some reason. You know, it's not very maybe faithful to the original, but yeah, I found it like if I just translate it straight, then this is like a world fair, you know, like so, and then like people will go, oh yes, Indonesia, 17,000 islands of imagination, and not everyone is modern. There are all primitive people, you know, and it's like that's a very problematic understanding of Indonesia, and I don't want that to happen. So I don't know if I did a good job, but that was always in the back of my mind. Yeah.
We've got time just for one last question.
I think that on the whole, Mikael's sentences are longer and more rolling, whereas Laura's are shorter and seem to be more abrupt. And I'm wondering whether you have a special particular strategy for the sentence that we perhaps was the original or not.
I think that was a really tricky aspect of this translation because the original has some really epic sentences, long sentences with idiosyncratic punctuation, and I think it's really important to try and capture some of that original style, but also to make sure that the translated text is readable, and I prefer shorter sentences personally as a writer and as a reader. I'm not sure on that difference. Also because I didn't attempt to translate the patois, I think maybe all the dialogue dropping down to the bare bones, because my approach to that was to try and simplify that part of the text, and they were shorter, I think, in the original as well. It was quite abrupt. It wasn't so sing-songy. It was quite brute, if you like. It was interesting, actually. Just the other night, I found on YouTube a theatre production in Java. It was filmed in Java. Theatre Possong doing a production of this short story and their depiction of the Papuans and of the speech falls. I found, I'm not sure if it's okay to say, but I was quite shocked actually. It was like really way beyond clowning. I was quite shocked. It would have really influenced, I think, almost the way I felt about translating the piece if I'd seen it before I translated. I thought, gosh, is that really the stereotyping that's going on?
Thank you very much. I think actually we might be sadly running out of time a little bit. I'm sorry, Mikael.
That's all right.
To cut you off, but I just want to thank you all for coming to the event. Thank you very much, Mikael and Lara, for your amazing responses. I think we all have a better sense now of how the complex process that you're engaging with, and of how many translations can coexist coming from a single source text. So as both translators, as you've heard, made complex, considered decisions, made with the utmost ethical considerations. So thank you all for coming, for being such a great audience. And I hope you'll join me now in thanking Laura and Mikael for their fantastic translations and insights.
What you had to say about it. We just did a new translation of Max Havelaar.
Right. Yes.
Co-translation, I think, with someone else. It's published by New York Review of Books.
Right.
And we used an old article by Privilese.
I'm familiar with the article.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's a slightly. I did the Dutch English. Co-translation.
Okay. Well, I really want to get a copy actually, so I'm going to boil it.
I need this one on Wednesday evening, but I can get it to you on Thursday.
Oh, well, I'll try to find it first in the shop, but like, if I fail.
Yeah. If I see you on Thursday and you don't have it, we can make some people.
Okay, cool.
There's a seminar about it at UCL on Wednesday, 5%. And I don't even know myself exactly what they're saying about it, but I've been invited to be there. So
All right.
if you'd like to come, I can give you my phone number.
Yeah.
If you
Is
decide
it on
to show
Wednesday?
Up, if you decide to show on Wednesday from 5 to 7. Yeah.
On Max Havelaar.
On Max Havelaar, yeah.
All right. Well, that'd be
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you'd like, or if you know other translators or writers who would like to come.
Yeah.
So I'll just give you my.
Oh.
What shall I do? Should I? Oh.
Anyway, well done.
I don't have a card with me, but what I can do is just.
Do you use WhatsApp?
Yeah, I use WhatsApp.
All right, yeah. That's my number there. It's got a WhatsApp. It's my WhatsApp number.
Oh, great. So I'll send you an app and then we'll be connected. Yeah.
Yes. Because I have a booktube, booktube channel, and my next one is I want to talk about how Pramudia sort of lifted the structure of Sastra Indonesia, but expounded on it, and in a very interesting ways. So I'll be interested to
It's
find out
funny
more
because
about.
I read part of that series many years ago, before I was even familiar with Max Havelaar.
Right,
And once I
right.
started reading Max Havelaar, I thought, wait a second.
Exactly, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right.
But he does it so like there's this stereotype of Pramudia in Indonesia and of him as a simplistic writer. He's just a historical novelist. He doesn't do sort of kind of like avant-garde structure and stuff. But actually the structure of human sense is very, very complex.
Yeah.
And it's very intertextual, you know.
Okay.
Because he gives you clues that he lifted this from Max Havelaar, but then he changed it in this way and that
It's
way.
wonderful to hear that. Yeah, because Max Havelaar itself is so intertextual and with his own. But Pramudia just went on in that vein, in that tradition.
Right.
Yeah.
Like one thing is that like you know how like it's kind of like typical 18th century, 19th century novel where like you know you found Drogstoppel, found like a manuscript and and publish it whatever, and so like the whole sort of like Manusia story, the 4 books could be interpreted as something that was written by the young hero Minka and then edited by the old Minka in exile and then confiscated by Pangemanan, the Dutch.
We do need to get ready for
Yeah,
the next
sorry.
session.
Yeah.
But time goes on.
Yeah, the comic created by the Dutch police officer Pangemanan, edited by him again, and then given to Nyai Kosoro, and she took it, she moved to France, and then published it herself. Must have edited it as well.
Whose voice?
So basically, like, Ram was saying that, like, how about you put a blemish on the name. So yeah, so that's very interesting the way you yeah, tell me about the UCL.
It's at UCL, yeah.
Is it thoughts?
No. It's made it into UCL. You're the main editor.
All right.
I'll send you an app so you can use it.
Great. Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. How you doing? Okay. Ya, ikan sejalan bukan ikan kaleng. Alright. Oh, thank you. Oke. Dan ada Instagram? Ada. Mexico. Kalau yang cari nama? Kalau cari nama? Aku nggak menyembunyikan nama aku. Belum. Oh, nggak tahu aku. Nggak tahu, aku belum lihat. Kamu ini nama masuk kayak. Oh, masuk. Aku dikasih tahu katanya.
Excuse me.
Datang kapan, Mas? Dari minggu. Udah jalan-jalan kemarin?
Jalan-jalan sih nggak terlalu sih. Apa namanya? Bingung mau ngapain? Kalau nerjemahinnya sih nggak ada masalah, tapi kalau apa namanya publishnya ya itu kan
Gimana sih prosedur untuk kemudian bisa publish di luar?
ya biasanya kayak gini nih, paling gampang sebenarnya kalau lo punya agent.
Agent apa?
Literary agent.
Agent untuk?
Jadi agentnya ini yang akan menawarkan buku lo gitu. Mereka akan pergi ke publisher gitu. Oh, there's this guy who writes this thing. Ini ceritanya begini.
Kalau misalnya publisher gue yang approach ke publisher sini itu bisa juga?
Bisa juga, tapi untuk marketnya di sini biasanya agent.
Agentnya ini berarti agent yang di UK?
Agent UK. Tadi yang saya ada issue dari agency yang sama kita. Dia kan orangnya itu orang Inggris, tapi dia kan beroperasinya di seluruh dunia.
Approach dulu ke agen kita.
Iya, harus.
Marketing Well, it's never too late. I've just been asked to write an introduction to the Cambridge Review anthology 500 pages color
Mereka kesini,
which I said
juga ada agent-agent
almost what I said. There is a big project in this.
lagi, atau mungkin kayak tanda tangan kontrak, atau mungkin kayak gitu. Sementara kalau ini kan kayak pameran buku IKP aja, taruh aja di situ sih. Siapa tahu ada yang mampir. Kayak gitu kan. It can happen.
Tapi kemungkinannya kecil.
Tapi kemungkinannya lebih kecil.
Jadi
But it's very hard.
gitu ya?
Apalagi kalau gue kan penyair. It's impossible lah. Penyair untuk mempunyai agent kan nggak laku kan.
Baru mau ngomong duit sih.
Have you seen Australia? To Spain? Oh, yes, my name. Who I always see.
Lo-nya itu punya agent yang represent your interest.
Jadi personally dari writernya ya?
Iya. Atau kadang-kadang biasanya begitu. Karena kalau misalnya penerbit Indonesia biasanya males nyariin agent buat penulisnya kan.
Anyway, so I'm sort of
$40,000. Nah biasanya mereka dapat cut 10%.
Makelar lah ya kata.
Dia makelar.
Did you get my message about that? Yeah, but what's happening? He realised that the person he's staying with, I think is his brother-in-law, doesn't the only time he can see him, so he's going to have to leave early and whatever. I haven't seen him since. So.
buku ini udah terjual 1000 kopi nih gitu kan. Misalnya kayak buku istri gue, penyair juga kan. Gue mencoba untuk menjual bukunya nih. Gue bisa bilang, oh you know it sells 3,000 copies di Indonesia. Itu kan huge kalau di sini. Di sini iyalah kalau buku puisi di sini tuh paling terjual 500 tuh udah kayak impresif kan. Padahal kalau di Indonesia
starting something. So my plan is to do as much of this job as I can, leave early, go to as little of the awards as we can, and be up 7:15, 7:15, and jump in a cab to French.
Well, maybe is the excellence thing is going to be very important.
It's up in there's a conference centre or something.
It's not an invitation.
I think it probably is.
Right.
But in any case, I'm sure I'd recommend it. It's yes. I try whenever possible, including like I won a couple of years ago, and Kate had to pick it up for me. That's the things that.
I just want to pass the national broadcast I think
you don't even have to translate it. You can just tinggal jual doang. Udah jadi.
So yeah, no, I don't see
everything
Norman dia puisi punya. Itu dia sih berhasil. Puisinya emang bagus. Dan apa namanya? Isunya kan LGBT, jadi itu juga pas juga dengan situasi politik sekarang. Jadi bisa dijual juga. Apa namanya? Faktornya beda banyak banget. Beda-beda. Kadang kayak bukunya Eka Kurnia kayak baru akhirnya dibikin sebelum itu padahal dulu kan gue mencoba mencarikan penerjemahan public translation Mega Kurnia dari tahun itu jadi nggak ada yang mau sama ini siapa ya tapi begitu ada Van Anderson ngomong this is the next privilese oh langsung deh
exchange of sharing and the defined categories program aims for the internationalization both economically and culturally and express. So these works offer Kazakh students and scholars cultural knowledge and identity, spanning the long history of the nation. But they're also a tool through which international students
Misalnya 6 bulan nih. Misalnya 6 bulan.
Iya, tapi gue udah dari gue kan November Januari gitu juga.
It's a good time for translated works. Research commissioned by the Mann Prize shows that UK sales of translated works rose last year by 5.5%. And translated fiction now makes up 6% of all fiction published in the UK. Sales of translated short stories and anthologies actually went up by 90% over that period. But you can imagine the majority of these works are translations. They're European in origin. And I feel this means that English-speaking cultures and audiences are missing out on the vast wealth of input into literature, culture, and art from further afield. As a university press, our mission is to disseminate knowledge and understanding, to make informational texts widely available. So it's with immense pride that we make these texts available for the first time in English, in print, online, and in audio, for the benefit of our patrons. So we have 4 speakers for you today, each giving their own perspective on this important cultural initiative. Each will speak for 10 minutes and will be strict on it. Before we turn to you, to pose questions for our audience, and I promise to make time for questions and answers, but please be promised to have some good ones to ask. So firstly, we're honoured to welcome His Excellency, Ambassador Herman
Ini yang translate ini ya, Cyril Anwar tadi ya?
Oh iya ya. Itu bukunya ada di mana sih?
Di mana-mana di Indonesia ada kok.
Ada ya? Gratis ya?
Gimana sih translate puisi gitu ya? Pada pakai segala macam bahasa yang sulit-sulit gitu.
Iya.
Tapi kalau ditranslate gitu apakah hasilnya sama atau beda?
Pasti beda.
Beda ya?
Pasti beda. Cuman ya ada different possibilities sih, kayak apa namanya? Ya gue nanti main puisinya istri gue, kayak kita kan sangat berbeda. Tapi kalau buat gue sendiri, menarik juga untuk menjadi dia. Walaupun kind of weird sometimes, karena lo tinggal bareng, terus kayak lo, that's me. Bagus ngabisin.
A Cambridge colleague here,
Berapa lama kalau misalnya satu pajak gitu?
and leader of the educational reform and innovation team at the University of Cambridge. She
Pemilihan
has a long
bahasanya
history in
apa?
Kazakhstan, having been a leading member of the team responsible for transformation and
Diulangi. Oh,
the team worked very closely with education and the
Kalau terlalu slow, gue kadang-kadang nggak
established
sendiri,
graduate school
malah jadi bingung gue. Kayak yang ini, ya udah sih kata nggak ada semangat 2 jam gitu, udah jadi. Terus yang si Laura ini harus pindahin cerita lain.
His poems, translations and reviews have appeared widely in the UK, in Ireland and beyond. He's published 5 collections of his poetry, the latest of which is After Hours, and I can personally vouch for that book, having read it myself. David is providing a literary translation of this project, so he has a deep understanding of the working process and will be able to share some cleverness. I just want to finish my introduction with a thought from the famous 19th century British poet and cultural critic Matthew Arnold. Arnold once said, "Culture is a pursuit of our total perfection by means of getting to know the best which has been thought and said in the world. This knowledge, turning a stream of fresh and free thought upon our stock notions and habits. For me, this sums up how important politics is in turning a stream of fresh thought upon the culture of such a fascinating nation as Kazakhstan. And when the prospect of a nation choosing to define its culture through the window of culture is such a valid nature. So, Your Excellency, over to you.
Thank you very much for such a wonderful eloquent introduction. For me, it's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you, first of all, thank the London Book Fair for taking this fantastic global intellectual event. And of course, I'd like to thank our friends, Press. Be happy. So many projects together. Education is one of the most important streams of our partnership. Now we go into a fantastic new track of our partnership, letting the British and Western public to know the origins of Kazakhs through their literature. I am very pleased because you mentioned that they wrote numerous articles on international affairs. I would wish to write more on literature, history, culture, because this is my passion. And as ambassador, of course, I'm very proud to observe that knowledge about our part of the world is growing, and the appetite to get that knowledge is growing. Everywhere you go, you see the glimpses of this new appetite. Just to tell you that many vessels now where we came from, what to do and what we have in mind for the future. So this type of project, history, culture, are at the core of our ambition to become a golden nation. I'm very proud that my nation is built in the culture of knowledge. You just quoted a really nice quote.
Ngapain? Kayak gue harus
Let me tell you that
Farrington atau gimana?
the government of Kazakhstan
Ada
is
acara si Intan Parmadi.
cementing the cult of knowledge in Kazakhstan. We have been through many cults in our recent history. We threw away those cults, but we just selected one cult which we
Si
want
Intan
to
Parmadita sama
call
Roman
is the cult of
Masari.
knowledge. This is one of the projects of this type. Unfortunately, the West is so squeamish because of huge volume of information knowledge about the West, so that there is no time and
Kalau lo di
space
sini sebagai delegasi deh.
for opening new
Gue nggak delegasi,
space
gue lagi main di sini,
in the
ada
world.
LVM dan tentang aja.
Therefore, we have to be very competitive.
Malah
Kalian berdua nggak?
I'm very proud that for the first time in Kazakh history, we have a moment of presenting a small
Kalian udah kenal
portion
duluan.
of Kazakh culture through its literature.
Oh,
Only
iya.
30 poets and only
Jadi
38
lo cewek lo lagi di sini.
prose writers have been selected for this competition, which in itself is a huge
Ini
effort.
udah berapa lama?
I'm very proud that within a short period of time, within
Di
1
tinggal di
year,
sebelah mana?
we have been able to complete the part of the project.
Suka nggak lo di
Hopefully we'll see the completion of this project in a launch of these two anthologies later in September in London. I would like to commend all those who took part in this project. Of course, the great team of Cambridge University Press, but also the authors themselves, of course, and the great team of translators who never spared their efforts to
Tapi lo mau balik?
their best talents in translating something which is
Lo biasanya di Jakarta?
Biasa di Jakarta.
they
Jakarta
try
mana?
to get into that culture.
Oke. Datang aja ke Pavilion Puisi.
I hope they will be successful.
Tau gue kan? Pavilion 28.
Many Westerners
Nah, itu setiap ikutin aja Instagramnya Pavilion Puisi. Terus lihat Pavilion Puisi. Itu tiap Sabtu terakhir tiap bulan pasti
we
ada.
are a young nation,
Itu membaca gitu.
but we are very
Mau
ancient.
baca, mau nggak baca, mau
Today,
minum
we
amer
can
doang
see
juga nggak apa-apa.
so many new discoveries which tell that Eurasia and Eurasia steps in the enormously given history culture. Just to remind you, the horsemanship of the
Itu kan dia jadi di situ karena gue bilang
6,000 years ago,
dengan
in the north of border coast,
jadi
that has
kita aja
contributed a lot
nanti Sabtu terakhir tanggal berapa deh?
the emergence of
20 something.
Eurasia as we know
Ada lagi.
today.
Seru kok.
In the European languages,
Ya. Mau baca boleh, mau nggak baca juga nggak apa-apa.
born in the center of Eurasia steppe.
Kan.
And these
Amin.
languages are today
Sekarang
the
kan
language,
itu agak
languages of
gede, orang-orang ada
half
yang
of
bilang
the
kalau
global population.
intimidating tempatnya.
Or the mythology as we
Serem.
know, this method and all other
Santai
alloys.
aja.
The
Ya
early
tentunya karena udah
Siapa yang bisa nongkrong di situ? Yang bisa nongkrong di situ?
great Eurasia.
Intimidating gitu.
So this type of new
nggak
knowledge is
tahu
coming
itu ya
by.
memang karena acara yang udah lama, udah hampir 1 sampai 2 tahun. Ini kan kayak kayak misalnya satu
Oh, jadi kalau manggil gabung agak nggak enak gitu.
The fossils in the history of called Echoes, which will be internationally presented in 50 countries late in 2019. There are many other projects. I'm very proud to partner with Cambridge University Press on another
Oh,
one,
itu baru gitu.
on a fantastic scroll of the 19th century of the Ostrach and we hope that this book will be presented to the British public next year. So I'm very proud that we are getting friendly support from our British friends, from our Western friends. Trying to
Mikael aja,
this cult of
Mikael.
knowledge
Kayak gitu juga.
throughout the world, not only throughout the
Mau kemana sekarang?
Kayaknya gue mau ke
These are
Farrington
the
ini
first
tapi gue mau
beginnings
duduk
of
dulu.
this type of
Ngapain deh?
efforts.
Aku
We
buat
hope that being able to read this anthology,
Yuk.
pieces of the poetry, pieces of
Datang ya?
Apa tuh?
prose,
Pavilion Puisi itu.
Oh,
Westerns,
Nggak tahu ya. Thank you ya.
to explore further. This is just a small drop to tease their appetites. The world is open itself. The uniqueness of Kazakh literature is outstanding. Kazakhs and nomads are absolutely remarkable in terms of the oral culture. Oral culture is a feature of Kazakh knowledge.
Shakespeare, Pushkin, Dostoevsky. That became part of the Soviet Empire, and through that we became masters of the socialist state.
Yes, mostly.
Well, you said Caribbean back then.
Yeah.
Did you feel that it was nearer to it?
So, we are now stepping back.
How do you look at it? Kind of like years
Well, it's more like the way the rest of Indonesia thinks of Papua. Similar to maybe white people see black people in there's very inherent racism in it.
Maybe like the English and the Scottish.
That's right. So part of the reason why I did that was the similarity. I don't know if it makes sense.
It makes sense. It's just because I was seeing you ask the question and I was like,
Sorry?
And we do this not just to please ourselves. This is our future. Our future.
Yes.
On strong foundations, unless we know our
It's like so much different. It's like saying that
putting it together, letting other people understand it, so that
No.
I think I think Rawat represents
that's
right.
young generation. The purest, like my grandma still speaks it.
Right,
And when she talks about
not Soviet period, educated differently.
Which island is Caribbean?
He's the bearer of three cultures: Kazakh culture, Russian culture, and the Western culture.
Okay, right. So that one doesn't have cricket on it. Doesn't play cricket. But, no.
the hell your reasons. What's food and music?
Oh, right, okay. What kind of music?
Like French Caribbean music. So we have zouk, we have, like proper Patois stuff, a bit of compa, which is mostly Haiti, but some lovely people are also kind of the same Caribbean.
Right.
And you also have like the raps and traditional stuff. It's mostly folk and it's like rapping everything out. Just in the comparison stuff, just never put it more to pigeon than others. It just made more sense to just have
Well, thanks for that, I feel like I've just made, some sort of right decision.
If you just had the culture stuff, like you could never associate, even though technically Africans and Caribbean are the same people, language-wise, they've got so much apart, and their language is just so different. You just would never say that pidgin language is the same as Caribbean.
No.
Just wouldn't. So I thought that made sense.
Yeah.
Well, it made sense to me anyway.
Yeah.
We've got to blur the boundaries. It's really important to have the boundaries not sort of to have them represented as they are, which is that they're all porous,
Yeah.
And that's it's like it's great what you're doing. I really enjoyed it. And I just came back just to see if you were here actually, just to say thanks very much.
Oh, no worries.
Great job.
Thank you.
Did Laura headed off?
Yeah, I think so.
Alright,
thank you for that. Yeah, I'll see you later. I need to give you something. Translation of my life.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's the one that I'm working on with the National Center for Writing.
It's beautiful chapel. Can I give you some money for that?
No, it's fine. Yeah, it's a sample. I got
You got a few.
a strong arm, the publisher to print it.
Oh, you did manage to. Okay. So often, it's like you can't really go over the books here. This is great. Thank you. I'm really delighted to have this. Oh, will you write something in it?
Well, no, it's my.
Well, you could write something about being the translator of the superior female genius.
Of course, yeah. She is much more famous, and she sells so many more books than I do.
You'll catch up on that. That's great, that's fabulous. No, go on, you've got to write in it. I've got a pen in front of me.
I have a pen.
Oh, thank you very much. That's really nice of you.
No worries, yeah.
That's great. Isn't that gorgeous? Very beautiful. Who's done it? Who's done it?
A friend of ours is an artist. This is the real.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that lovely?
So it's actually inside. It's also got like different illustration. It's one of the very few, actually probably the first Indonesian.
Sorry.
I think it's sort of like maybe the first Indonesian poetry book that talks openly about mental illness.
Really?
Yeah, she's bipolar.
Gosh, that's amazing.
I'll write something. I never know what to write though.
I know. Just, I'm glad you say that. I always find that excruciating if people ask me to write anything. So don't worry, don't feel inhibited. Just write your name. Hello, Olivia. Nice to see you today. Hello, shop.
Because I'm sort of like maybe a bit serious as well, because like we are restarting a journal in Indonesia where we publish a translation. I did like for the last one I did about 5 René Char. So René Char.
Oh, did you? I
Yeah.
love René Char.
Yeah. So if you have poems that you'd like to be translated to Indonesian, maybe we'll do them. Maybe we could.
Well, if I can find the one for attention, that's the real problem. My book, I had that, it's quite old now, and I've got a whole stack of those manuscripts. I'm actually, for my PhD, I'm working on science fiction.
Science fiction poems? Well, that's interesting.
So, it's about my PhD, September science fiction.
Right.
And, well, thank you. Yeah.
You must know Victoria Sin.
Oh, no, I don't.
No?
Victoria
Sin?
no.
She's a Chinese Canadian.
Is that now?
Now?
I've been looking quite a lot at the 1970s feminists, but I'd love to. I might take a note.
Yeah. Victoria Sin. She's an artist. She's Chinese Canadian, but based in the UK. And she's now got like a couple of videos in Whitechapel. So she does video art, but she writes poetry. So she narrates her own poetry in science fiction poetry.
You see, I'm really interested in this because I'm getting a bit tired of the home page as well.
Right.
You know, I'm getting quite interested in the idea of creating more immersive experiences. And I don't know how far I'll get off doing a PhD. So
you should certainly check out the one in Whitechapel.
So Victoria,
she reads her own
you
poems.
said she was Chinese Canadian.
Chinese Canadian. So she's a woman presenting as a female drag.
Right.
And all her poems are about this bizarre creationist theory, origin stories that she makes up herself.
Well, there's a lot this around at the moment.
And especially inspired by Ursula Le Guin. The carrier bag theory and stuff like that. But I find her stuff is amazing. Yeah. No worries, because I want to see it again because I saw it in January and it was like. I think so. Yeah, you should. I think she sampled a lot of music from Blade Runner and stuff, so it gets really shocking. It's really quiet and sort of.
I love the sound actually. I went to have you heard of Down?
Oh, right.
And they managed to do this kind of event, a massive event in Paris where they took over the whole of the hotel center, which had been gutted. So it was all happening outside the studio in the back room. And then he's got 13 films. And they are amazing. I mean, just like make you come alive again. You know, like you look at them and go, but they're very, very, very on the edge. They're like such controversial. That's the place to be. You have to be on the edge, otherwise you're not alive.
Yeah.
So this is I love the one of the things they did was great in terms of the sound. And I love so I've done all the music, singing.
Right, okay.
Really wanted to be a singer-songwriter.
Can you like write the...
No, it's only been available so far. No, it's super top secret and like, you know, it's like a super happening, you know, and it's only been available. Actually, that was the place for us to get a visa to go to apply for a visa to go to the
Alright.
But they might come to London.
What's the name of the artist?
Well, it's sorry, my Russian is just gone out my head. If you just Google DAU,
DAU,
you'll
alright.
see the whole thing. It's
Sounds interesting, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I suck at music and like actually performing my phone. So I get people to perform it on my phone.
Do you not perform them?
I hate it. But sometimes I have to do it because I organize an open mic night. So sometimes I have to make an appearance. But I like getting people to like, you know, to like sound clash my own voice. So or working together with like other musicians. I did like analog synthesizer version of one of my songs. So that worked out okay. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I do have a YouTube link, I think, for that one. But you know, like
Do you write directly in English?
I
You
do.
say you translate both directly?
Yes, I
Do you
write in both languages.
You write in both languages?
Yeah, and some like
So it just depends. So when you present your collection, is there a bit of both languages in there, or is there?
yeah, sometimes in like some of the stuff that I publish in Asymptote, they're code switching. Yeah, and I actually didn't like the fact that like they wanted to have like the floating translation. It's like defeats the purpose. I don't want to explain myself, you know.
So you say it's just do that comfort zone.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, because like, you know, I do it all the time, you know. I read like, is there pound? You know, like, what are you talking about? Or like all this like other, you know, English poems.
There's one that we didn't get onto. I would love to discuss that idea of multilingualism and, you know, the fact that for like many people, it's a very normal thing just to kind of switch between different languages. Or
Yeah.
like, it's not like how this is my language.
Yes,
As if it was kind of, you know, like a thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same. Whereas, you know, you've got this national process of language learning, you know, and
Right, yeah.
like this both might help, you know, and like it's translators and that's translated here. Increasingly that, you know, the role of languages being a bit undermined systematically, you know.
Right, yeah, yeah.
That's like really terrifying because already there's so few people who actually speak foreign languages here.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, with that attention and risk taking, this is the thing, is the idea is some sort of ways that translators comes by speaking. No, it's the other way around.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it is a big problem. Like in Indonesia, we actually have quite a lot of bilingual writers and translators. But I've been sort of fighting the national solidarity committee because like they have this foundation headed by the American dude, and basically he always goes around telling everyone, mostly Indonesians, that You will never be. Yeah, you call it threat?
I've seen it all. I've seen it.
There you go. Yeah.
No, I mean, you used your platform. I don't know where that leaves me.
No, it's fine. Like, I'm on good terms with the Bersama because they also don't like us speak Jawa. They really don't want to work with us anymore in Jakarta because too much politics. Like the guy there was asking about like the guy was asking about. Do you have it in the back of your mind who the audience is? There was the British Council art guy in Jakarta until about 5 days ago. So his assignment. So it wasn't because he was sacked. I forgot. Shit. Yeah, I want to give you my book as well. Yeah.
So basically, you couldn't let me give you.
Oh, don't worry about it. Yeah. There you go.
Well, no, you couldn't let me give you something.
Oh, don't worry about it. Yeah. Because my publishers gave it to me. So,
they really?
Yeah.
Okay.
To give around the team.
I always have to buy money. People are like, oh yeah, go give us a book. I'm like, okay. This is great.
Here's my older.
Oh, you have to write this one. Wow.
Wow. Give it back.
I can get into it.
These are my older poems, so they are mostly in English. There are some smatterings of Indonesian, but I feel like sometimes I should have like, say, 5, 10 plus.
You know, this is probably the way to do it, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know, just go, lovely to see you today.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So you should have those
really
ready.
You know, if you're somebody who like cares, like words, like the right purpose.
Yeah.
Like, who is this person? What do they mean to me? What can I meaningfully say to them? It's like too many things like jamming. Like, you get stuff. Somehow, quite reduce it to very superficial experience. It was quite hard to work on that, wasn't it? I found it a bit stressful. It was a bit stressful because we couldn't see each other. I hated that.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was doing like this.
Yeah.
The microphone.
It's very low. You sit very low.
It's nice when you've got your headset and you can just look at each other and talk. It's like, I felt like I was going like this and I couldn't actually go. Like,
Yeah.
Because the sound went away.
Yeah,
I found that really a bit.
Yeah, because it doesn't have a monitor either, so you can't really hear yourself.
The other thing was that I just talked too fast and too much. That was acoustic. And like, you live alone. Sometimes you have to do all the kind of blurdy, and you sort of set it all up really calmly. But I felt
Oh, you did a good job, you know, like moderating is like hard. I mean, I'd rather be a speaker than moderate. It's like,
I've done both. I'm not sure. They're quite nerve-wracking, the translation styles, though.
Right.
It's a bit nerve-wracking, something about the format. People often kind of got the heebie-jeebies before, like, kind of thing.
Okay,
But, I don't know, I quite like... I like doing both, actually. They're both quite interesting. It is nice to be the person speaking, because you've got something you can work with.
Yeah, you don't have to think as much, you know, as a moderator. You have to think like, okay, where are we going right now? You know, what's the next thing? Yeah, you have to be on all the time.
As I was going, I've got through, and where's my microphone?
Like,
what was the question I wanted to ask again? I feel like I've taken too many painkillers.
For some reason, back in Jakarta, I'm always being given the people always ask me to become a moderator for like all sorts of discussions. Like when I get back, I have to like moderate a discussion on Morrissey because it's the 25th anniversary of Folk Soul and I, one of his albums, and the producer for that album is in Jakarta now, Stephen Lillywhite. Yeah, so I don't know, he's been in Jakarta for quite a long time doing like stuff with musicians. And so I have to moderate this talk with him and these musicians. I'm like, why me? Like, you like Morrissey? Yeah, but you know, that doesn't mean I can talk about him.
There's quite a lot of practice, you know, you're going to be able to find your way through.
Yeah, like now I have to research what Stephen Lillywhite has done, you know, and what these other speakers have done, you know, like their band people. I mean, I wasn't there during sort of like late 90s when Morrissey was really big in Indonesia.
I got my first mobile phone in 99 as well.
Ah, there you go.
In Paris. So I lived in Paris for about 9 years.
Right,
yeah.
Whereas advanced as it says, the French and the Indonesian.
Have you got a Montreal connection though as well? Why have you got things written in Montreal?
It was a journal. I did like an essay about translation.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
This is supposed to be went to them because they're really amazing, almost kind of French-Canadian translation scene. That's where translation studies came from, was the 1970s feminist translation.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. Yeah, I did I did an essay on, actually, it was sort of kind of like sort of personal story about me working as an editor, sort of moderating between this Indonesian author and her American translator, who's an Indonesianist, and he didn't want to listen to any complaints or any sort of suggestions from the author or from me. And the essay is somewhere online called Kebaya or Bolero.
Hello, it's not you. I wanted to say goodbye. I was like trying to get you off. I couldn't work out how to do the phone thing. I was like, oh, what am I going to do? Anyway, so I came downstairs to see if Adri was still here. So I was talking to Kate. Well done. And thank you.
Thank you.
You did it.
Yeah.
You did. I've left my folder somewhere, and it actually has the contract for my new job in it.
It's probably still over there.
I think so. Are you here for a minute? Because if I rush down there, I may have left it in the news.
It's probably there, most likely. Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds very interesting.
Yeah, so it the essay is called Kebaya or Bolero. Kebaya is the sort of like Indonesian blouse. So this guy, this translator from Cornell, was very into sort of like foreignizing the translation, but then he's very inconsistent. Like he would keep like Indonesian words for no reason, you know, but then he would change kebaya into bolero, which is not the same thing. and so like my essay's title is Kebaya or Bolero, which one is more English?
I like it. That is the kind of,
So that essay was published in a journal out of Montreal and translated into French. So I don't know what the translation sounds like.
I'll let you know.
But that was a long time ago, 2011 or something.
What's the name of the journal? Will it come up?
It will come up, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a JSTOR or something.
Yeah, JSTOR. Or I think I uploaded it on academia.edu.
Okay.
Yeah, so I give it to Mikhail Joani, Bolero, I think it comes up.
That's really interesting. Yeah, the whole debate is really fascinating. Is this difficult? I mean, you have kind of had a gut feeling having to do things, and the more experience you get as well. That's something we should have thought about too. The more experience you get, the more you feel for.
Yes, that's right.
You know how you can push into the language, really.
Yeah. I mean,
as I said, like I'm working with like an Australian translator. She's my mentor, and the sort of like problem that we have is that because she's not living the sort of kind of like the poetry that I'm translating and the life, it's very immediate for me, because I'm translating. I live the reality of the poems, and she's more like an Indonesianist. So, but I tried to make it work. So I invited her to Jakarta, and we
take her out of town.
Take her out of town. See all the kids. And she was quite open-minded. So
you've not found it. No. Have you? And you've checked in the green room. What could it be? You looked in the loo. Can you remember
No,
where
I
you
had it with me on the desk. Maybe it's still.
Have you
I
asked the
looked in the
people on the
loo.
desk? Have you asked them if
I
they found
will.
anything?
I will.
It might have got kicked under the table or something.
It may have been.
Because I don't remember seeing anything there.
I'm sure I took it out with me when I walked with Kate, the coffee.
You didn't leave it on the coffee bowl? Go back.
I just asked them.
Just asked them.
I looked under the chair where we were sitting.
There's nothing exciting. It's a nice folder, but not tight.
It's just it's really
I just have my contract signed. Was that okay?
I think it was great. Everyone enjoyed the discussion. People came up and said at the end that it was interesting.
Yeah,
A bit mobbed at the end.
You were
Mostly, there's all these Indonesian kids who are here in London on holiday.
Really?
And they decided to come to the London Book Fair. I'm like, what are you doing?
Go immediately to
Yeah, exactly.
Go through the door, turn left.
Yeah, exactly. Else courts that way.
But apparently they were quite surprised that I was speaking so openly about Papua, but within my own group of friends,
Yeah.
it's normal.
Well, that's what I was curious about as well.
But I guess there are different cliques, I suppose. But yeah, as I said, like I showed that novel. That's a mainstream novel. It's not a.
Has that one been translated?
It has actually.
Yeah.
In the US.
In the US.
Yeah, but like by very minor press.
Right.
And she's the author has pissed off a lot of people in the establishment as well, and so she's sort of going at it alone. She now lives at the foot of Mount Merapi, like a bit of a recluse, but she writes a lot of she just wrote like this blistering attack of people who go to London Book Fair.
Really?
Yeah, in Indonesian. Aninita Estaif. Yeah, she writes in like the Indonesian papers like Jawa Pos, smaller papers. Yeah, I like her. Even though she hates people Indonesians who write in English, but I like the way she pays me out.
Why would she hate it?
I don't know. She's just she's a very
Emotional person.
She has got a lot of good points actually. Some people write in English to be pretentious, but that's okay for me. But she does come from like a different background, totally different background, and she gets very much marginalized by the establishment, more marginalized than me. These people hate me, but I can still get here,
Yeah.
and not that I'm not doing anything, whatever. But I can still get opportunities.
Who hates you?
Like the National Organizing Committee. I'm here because of the British Council, but the National Organizing Committee doesn't like me. It doesn't like my wife. We tried to get her to come to London instead of me because her book is being promoted in the Energy Pavilion. I've been here in January. I don't need to go to the London Book Fair anymore. I don't need to go to London. It's much better if she has like a platform here. She can talk about her work, blah blah. But, it's a long story. it's like all politics and stuff.
I mean, you know, there's organisations have their sort of house kind of style, I suppose, of house. You know what I mean? Like any publishing house, you know, like if I knock on the door of Faber and go, here I am, they're just going to go, no, sorry, you're not our type. You know, so it's a tricky one, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean the thing is that like in Indonesia, this is something that has been going on since the 1960s. It has to do with the big massacre of communists in 1965. Yeah. That's when like basically not just the literary history but the Indonesian history just has this enormous rupture. So like all the
that's a totally different publishing context.
Yeah. So now the people who won at that time are still in power.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, they're still running the show. They're gonna talk about 65, the 65 issue here. They're basically selling this issue to sell themselves, when they were actually like part of the sort of like people who benefited from the death of all these communist writers, playwrights, filmmakers. So you know, it's very complicated actually. Yeah, and it's very, but they're like very experienced politicians. So the way they do it is very brilliant. You know, like instead of like denigrating the communists, they're saying like now we're reviving their memories. And people forget already that like, they were the ones who stood by idly as their competitors were like put in jail, killed, and exiled, put in the gulag. Yes, indeed.
It must be quite old.
Yeah. Like Gunawan Muhammad. Gunawan Muhammad is one of our biggest poets, and he's in the National Organizing Committee. He's a very canny politician. So yeah, he's running the show. He's running this show. That Indonesian Pavilion is his baby.
Last time, and he didn't go to his events though. I think he was sick when he was here last time.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. He seems to be quite healthy still. You know, he must be about 80 or something.
It's really it's much. So it sounds like.
Well, thank goodness for translators who, you know, offer corrective perspectives on everything. No, but I really do think translation is a really important model for, you know, for understanding the importance of open debate in society. You know, I think that what's happening at the moment is there's quite a lot of sort of closing down conversations, and it's really important to keep them open and you know, have the discussions.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a bit of an eye opener actually, like going back and forth to the UK in the last 6 months or so, knowing how the UK sees the Indonesia, how the sort of like organization like the National Center for Writing, what they understand about Indonesian literature. It's very limited because, well, you know, they don't know any better. I mean, what can they do? You know, they only know a few people. So I'm thinking of like me and quite a few other friends are thinking of like translating a lot of the sort of kind of like say like the problems with this literary politics in Indonesia. There's a lot of essays that have been written in Indonesian. So I want to translate those.
The information across because, you know, like you say, people only know what they have access to, and actually, especially if there's a you know, if it's in if the people who are making the decisions don't have the language, you know, or they don't have access to the stuff, you know, because it's such a huge picture as well.
Yes.
To get a kind of comprehensive picture is quite a big undertaking. There's anthologies, aren't there, of Indonesian poetry?
There's in English.
Are there? I saw one. No.
I don't think there are current ones.
That would be a brilliant thing.
Well, that's actually
Are
like.
you talking to any presses at all? Because that would be a really good.
I asked the Asia Literary Agency person because me and my friends are, you know, that
like
famous.
Some Blood Axe, you know, Blood Axe, Neil Astley Blood Axe books.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, we don't know,
he
but.
publishes a lot of poetry, and he's a really big translator of really big publisher of poetry and translation.
Yeah.
Well, we might try. Well, actually, my friends and I, we're working on a sort of compilation of Jakarta ports. So it's going to be packaged like the New York ports anthology, sort of kind of like that. So like it's very, this is what's happening right now with these kids. So we're trying to sell that. But yeah, I felt a bit stupid because I've been trying to tell the National Center for Writing what's happening, but I can't quite find the words. But then I just realized I could just translate those articles and give it to them.
It's a great idea because there's something there to talk about.
Yeah.
You need something like
Concrete. This has been written in 1997. Blah blah. So there's proof that it's been happening for ages. So yeah, I should just do that.
Maybe get people to train up in literary agent skills as well, because I think that's one of the things that's missing in Indonesia. It seems like the pool of literary agents.
Like people pushing the writers.
Need agents. If I wrote a novel, I'd be banging my head against a lot of doors as well, and it's not because I'm Indonesian, because I'm not. You know what I mean? It's really tough. And
Well, with the workshop and mentorship and stuff, basically they teach us how to be agents. It's like so not me. I'm like, I can't even sell myself.
That's the thing.
But that's the sort of economic reality.
I have a real problem with that too. I am queen of doing all the work and not ever showing anyone.
No glory.
Just the work. The work is the thing, Like I was like, I've got to get the work out right.
Yeah, doing the elevator pitch.
Oh God.
Oh man. I've memorized it, but
but it's true,
I really
don't
want to do it.
The publishing industry works, isn't it? Right.
You need people to bang on the doors. And if you have learned that and you don't want to do it for yourself, you could do it for your friends.
I think it's easier.
I'm doing it for my wife.
Exactly.
I've been doing it for the last 6 months. Yeah, I mean, I think we want to start with the sort of doing the translations, sort of kind of so I have this thing. In other words, it's actually like a translation company thing that we started up with 5 other translators.
It's got the same name as the Translators Association.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Accidentally, but we're going to. Well, I try to persuade the other people to go into literary translation as well. We mostly now do essays and commercial stuff as well. But
so you're a kind of collective.
As a collective, yeah. So we did they did two of them did translation or excerpts from a novel, and it's available over at the Indonesian Pavilion. So yeah. Hopefully it's going to work because Penguin Random House is going to set up an office in Singapore next year sometime, and they're going to, try to translate a lot of Indonesian stuff. I think we just want to be there. We'll do it.
Make sure you're just the ones who are like, okay, well, we can probably fit you in.
I don't know. But yeah, it
sounds a bit more hopeful and maybe some different openings.
Yeah. And we also want to work with a lot more people from Southeast Asia because we don't really know much about each other. We don't know what's going on in Singapore. We don't know what's going on in Malaysia. We've managed to get some context now, and we just found out that say Malaysian poets, they want to. Not that they want to, but they do write in Indonesian because they feel like Indonesian is a cooler language. And I'm like, what are you doing? Why don't you write in your own Malay, Kuala Lumpur sort of kind of it's a really interesting language to my ears, and they're very good at packaging their books. They do this crazy handmade books with soy ink and things like that. But then you read it and it's this is Indonesian stuff. It's very strange. Yeah. Even though I spent a bit of time there last year, then I realized Indonesia from Malaysia,
is like over here, Indonesia is over there. Indonesia just feel like this monster on your ass, you know, like this 265 million crazy people.
It's a kind of crazy concept for a country, like, you know, it's like looking at it going, wow, this is amazing, because it's like this kind of, you know, like, if you're used, you know, if you're like, you know, British, used to looking at a little kind of,
We pay lip service to diversity.
Little lump. No, I was just saying, you're used to looking at the little lump, on, you know, there, and then you look at Indonesia and you go, wow. You know, it's amazing. Because I was looking at the distances involved as well, because I was thinking about, you know, Java, Jayapura, 3,600 kilometers.
That's right, yes.
It's like mind-blowing, you know, and and a number of different languages, and it is. But you see, it's a really, it's actually a kind of more visible manifestation of what, you know, of what the reality of countries is. You see, it's kind of almost inactive there. Sorry to see it like that.
That's all right. Yeah, I can see it.
But what I'm thinking a lot in my PhD is about how translation makes things visible. How you know, switching between languages, suddenly, you know, things appear. Switching between worlds, you know, like science fiction. And I think, you know, it's whenever you can sort of have some kind of visible, tangible way of seeing the things that go invisible most of the time. It's really helpful. But anyway, this is just me talking about my encounter with
I understand.
looking at the map, you know.
You're like, you know, like I write in English, right? A lot of sort of my crew in Jakarta also do the same, but then even though we like doing it, there's also that sort of kind of like impending problem. What if then everyone writes in English and everything is the same? And
everything's the same.
you know, like even though it's the kind of English that we do is different to like the English that people speak in the UK, and like we even call it English Plus. You know, we have a label for it, whatever. You know, but yeah, there's that fear of like, you know, there will be no more of this sort of kind of like, no translation won't be necessary, and so strangeness.
It's the strangeness, Scarlett,
would be gone, you know.
But it always would be, because I mean, I suppose, you know, what you've been talking about is, in a way, making language. I heard a thing, you know, W.G. Sebald.
Yeah.
So I think it might be an Austerlitz. He compares language to an old city.
Right,
It's absolutely brilliant, because, you know, he says, okay, so there's the old buildings that have been knocked down.
Right,
And then new ones have been built, and sometimes buildings built new out of the old stuff was lying around like spolia. And then, you know, new buildings, and there's all these different sort of styles and motives for the building, you know? So it's an absolutely brilliant sort of, it just, you know, just to understand like how dynamic a process language is, and how, you know, non-geographically defined it is.
Guys, I'm really agitated about my...
You're going to go and check?
They're coming out.
Before they close down the shop.
I'll see you tomorrow. Are you around tomorrow?
I will be around for the next 2 days. I have like another session tomorrow.
I've got to get with my PhD work, I think. No, it just started. Got quite a lot to do. Well, I've got an annual progress review coming up, so I'll get working on that. Anyway, it's lovely to meet you, Laura, and thanks so much. All right.
You don't need to break up your conversation.
That's all right.
I have to go to Farringdon.
Oh, wow.
No, it's just a discussion. One of the Indonesian authors is doing like an event like literature activism or something.
Oh, great! That sounds interesting.
The moderator is actually like a Scottish poet that I quite like.
Oh, who's
Harry
that?
Giles.
Oh, okay. I don't know him.
Yes, I think we'll do it that way.
Oh my God.
Well, you know, like
they're
that's
going to find it.
going that way.
You know the stairs that we sort of like took to the translation center? Yeah, I mean, I wish someone, yeah, because like I had to go like from there.
And then walk around and like wander through the little
Right, yeah. Yeah. It's funny how the Indonesian pavilion, you can't see any of the books. Where are the books? I'm making reports to my friends back home. Because some of their books are here, so they want to know how their books well, you can't even see them. Yeah, I'm sorry if I bang on about all this literary politics all the time, but you know, it's very upsetting.
Together.
So have you ever recorded your singing? No?
Pour les équipes.
Right.
But he loved it.
Yes. Yeah.
Suddenly sing.
You access that part of it.
Yes. Right, yeah.
The Lithuanian girl was really nice. And I told her
All right. Okay. All right. Well, I'll see you around. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah.
All right. It's lovely to have the chat.
All right.
And have a
Cool.
nice evening. Look at your event next one.
Thank you. Yeah. See you later. Bye.
Peki. İş arıyor.
So,
I do extras work.
Yeah, it is.
I love these kinds of movements.
Thank you.
Yeah, that, I feel like that's big.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, that's when.
Then the two lines that I draw like that, going down across the page. If you circle the points at which they cross into writing on the page. And the four letters, the 8 letters are E dot D E B E R.
Train's coming. Well, this is going to be the first one we've had in 2 hours. Yeah, this is the first one we've had in 2 hours.
Do we know why?
There's a fire kind of going in the road.
Do you know, I once had it
Oh? Yeah, I've got it on me, yeah.
Yeah, I was swimming in.
You want it?
And there was a fire. And they were able to get out in the pool, like in the building. And they were able to get out of the pool. for half an hour.
Oh no, no, it's probably stopped. It's probably stopped at West Brompton. No, it's delayed.
Yeah, yesterday Sarah specifically told me that it was really hot in there, so I was like, oh, I'm not going to overdress.
Yeah, coming now.
Big apologies for the overcrowding. I know Clapham trains can get very crowded this time of the evening, but we've been suffering severe disruption this afternoon. We're trying to get back to normal, but obviously we're very crowded at the moment. Big apologies. Please bear with us.
You're here, buddy.
Okay, I think we've got a few people wanting to go on Shepherd's Bush, so we're very overcrowded. If anybody wants to get off at Shepherd's Bush, can anyone else get out of the way? Please let them off. As I say, it's just one of those afternoons.
The next station is Shepherd's Bush. Change here.
What are we doing? You're gonna stay on.
Please keep your luggage.
There's no point changing the centre line to be just like this anyway.
Suspicious to a member of staff.
Perhaps going into the sea.
And you move inside the carriage. Going standing on platform 2 is the local service station. Quick calling at all stations. Kindly move inside the carriage.
How many people are getting on that train?